You already know what time it is. Let me get into this shot. What is happening, everyone? Welcome on back to the channel. It is a beautiful Saturday morning. It's still morning, actually. Yeah, 10:44. It is still the morning here on my end. Got a little shadow on my face, but listen. You already know what you're here for. You are here. I am here. We are all together here in this one moment to listen to some more David Bowie. Welcome to the Long Song Saturday for today. Listening to a complete album, full album listen, David Bowie's Heroes. Who's revving their motorcycle outside? This is the album that came out right after Low, which I've actually been listening to all week. Not really to necessarily get in preparation for listening to this, just because I've been wanting to. Yeah, this is the album that came out right after Low, released 1977. And I do believe that this is technically the second part of the Berlin trilogy, right? If I remember correctly. I don't remember what comes after, but I do know that this is after Low. A lot of you guys have suggested this album, and I've been wanting to listen to it because I gotta say that I think Low is my favorite Bowie release at this exact moment. I mean, I feel pretty good in saying that. Right beneath it, I'd probably put Diamond Dogs. But right now, I'm feeling really low. Like, not me, but you know what I mean? So anyways, yeah, we're going to do a full album listen. I'm not going to talk too much here in the beginning. We're just going to kind of jump into it, starting off with the first track, Beauty and the Beast. I hope that you guys enjoy the full album listen. I hope that you're here to stay for the duration of it, whatever that may be. I mean, we're probably going to at least be here an hour, but you never know. I mean, if we go to like 2 hours, I'm scared. That's too much talking I got. That's like, I always grab a glass of water just in case. But yeah, I'm really excited to listen to more David Bowie. I hope that you guys are here, settling in, relaxing for the day, for the morning, whatever it may be. Thank you as always so much for being here for especially these longer videos. I know that sometimes you got to save it for that right moment or you split it up. However you watch the video, I appreciate you being here and watching that and being here with me. So might as well get it out the way. Press that like button. Like, just do it. You might as well. If you haven't subscribed, do that as well. And if you want, you can also sign up on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. Don't have to, but I'm just getting all the plugs out there. So now that we're plugged away, let's plug in and listen to David Bowie. Starting off with the first track here, Beauty and the Beast. Let's dive right in, guys. Say no. You hear that? Okay, that's the kind of track that reintroduces you to Bowie very, very quickly. That's the type to get you right in the pool. You know when you were taking swimming lessons and you were like, parents are like, we'll kind of get you into the pool, we'll wade you in, we'll dip your toes first, we'll get the floaties on. Nah, this is just straight on pushing you into the pool, say, you got this. You got this, kid. Okay, the coolest aspect of that track, of course, being called Beauty and the Beast, is that very beast-like guitar that is constantly growling and moaning and mewling throughout this whole track, just rah, rah. And here's the coolest thing, on this particular track, you got Robert Fripp. That's why it sounds like that. That's why it sounds so cool, so abstract, so Crimson-esque in there. Fripp and Bowie, and you still have Eno in here as well. Like, this is just a sensational lineup here. But obviously, the enunciation that Fripp brings with his guitar playing is so well found in here, so well used. It sounds great, and it really plays tonally to the title of the track while still not going the way of novelty. You know what I mean? Now, taking Fripp's guitar, you hear the rhythm in the back, which is going to be Alomar, a returning member, of course, of Bowie's band. And then beneath all that, you have Eno, of course, handling all the synths. And I really, really enjoy hearing specifically Eno and Fripp's kind of marriage of guitar and synths. And they kind of crossbreed and cross-pollinate a lot of times, like in their own solo worlds with those instruments. And I think it's really cool to hear them kind of do that in this very, like, yeah, I guess it's a pop rock song in a sense because it's catchy, it's rocky, it's poppy, but there's those like clear progressions and abstractions in the music that make it so much more interesting and detailed and so much depth in there. Like that is really, really fantastic. But I gotta say, it's Fripp that stands out on this particular track here. Let's look at the lyrics here, huh? Weaving down a by road, singing a song. That's my kind of high road gone wrong. My, smile at least. You can't say no to the Beauty and the Beast. Something in the night, something in the day. Nothing is wrong, but darling, something's in the way. There's slaughter in the air, protest on the wind. Someone else inside me someone could get skinned. How? My, fetch a priest. You can't say no to the Beauty and the Beast. Like perhaps Bowie is saying like he has the light and the dark inside him. He has the beauty, but he also has the beast. He has the happy with the anger. You know, just the yin and the yang, the dark and the light, etc., etc. So I think that's what he's kind of getting at in this specific track. I wanted to believe me. I wanted to be good. I wanted no distractions like every good boy should. My. That line makes me think of, and I could have my history wrong. I really don't remember everything that I learned throughout listening to the music and the channel and everything. But I believe that Bowie went to Berlin to get away from the drugs and kind of get away from everything. And so that line, you know, I wanted to believe me. I wanted to be good. I wanted no distractions. Like he just wanted to kind of cleanse and refocus himself. And I believe that's kind of a break in the fourth wall moment here on the track. I guess that's what I think. I could be wrong, to be honest. All right, looking at some of the information for this particular track, it says the song has been described as sounding like Bowie is about to turn into the Incredible Hulk before your very ears. It says Fripp has stated that his guitar work on the track is the first take made straight upon arrival into the studio. That's just because Fripp is just a professional like that. The lyrics have been interpreted as a look back at Bowie's severe mood swings during his cocaine addiction while living in LA, with the line, "Thank God heaven left us standing on our feet," suggesting the singer's gratitude for making it through that period, which definitely makes sense, kind of getting along with what I had mentioned there. Anyways, stunning opener. Let's move ourselves on into the second track here, which is kind of continuing the animalistic theme with Joe the Lion. Here we go. Crash and a roar.
It's Monday.
Ooh, the clear up on production. Ooh, he's hitting it. Man, how fantastic is that? So, listening to especially the guitar, but I mean, really musically, like it's a very dense track. Like it's a barn burner of a track with all the density in there, especially coming from the guitars, which of course you're gonna have Fripp again and Alomar there, and obviously, you know, you hear Fripp especially going off near the ending, just as he did in Beauty and the Beast with those whatever he's doing there, those kind of sparkly, fiery notes there. But in this one, I really like the rhythm guitar because of how busy it is. But if you listen specifically to some of the notes there, they're very, very melodically played, like very light. And those notes specifically kind of rise above the messiness, and I mean that in a positive way, the messiness, the density of the underbelly of this particular track, which is just like there's a lot going on. But those lines, those like those kind of come up above a little bit. I just think that sounds really nice. Bowie himself. His singing, I love how like he pushes his voice in this one. He really like yells out at certain points, but then there's a moment about halfway through in the first verse where the production actually clears up. Some of that underlying busyness kind of is removed, and then not only is all that clarified for us, but then his vocals, his singing actually comes a little bit closer to the mic for a little bit more of an intimate and clearer kind of crisp sound. And I really like that change because not only did the music change, but the production aspect on his vocals actually changed as well. So it kind of like breaks everything before, refreshes the page, and gets back down into business. I thought that was really sensational. Of course, Fripp's guitar work there at the end I thought was really nice as well. And you had some what I thought were female harmonies in the back on this track and the previous one, but it seems that that's going to be Tony Visconti, also returning to help out with Bowie here on this particular track. The lyrics. Joe the Lion went to the bar, a couple of drinks on the house, and he said, "Tell me who you are if you nail me to my car." Boy, thanks for hesitating. This is the kiss-off. Boy, thanks for hesitating. You'll never know the real story. Just a couple of dreams, you get up and sleep. You can, by God, it's Monday. Slither down the greasy pipe. So far, so good. No one saw you. Hobble over any freeway, you will be like your dreams tonight. You get up and sleep. Joe the Lion made of iron. I don't know what happened, but Joe the Lion went to the bar and he got a lot more than he bargained for. I have no idea. Joe the Lion went to the bar, a couple of drinks on the house, and he was a fortune teller. He said, nail me to my car and I'll tell you who you are. Joe the Lion, yeah, went to the bar, a couple of drinks, and he was a fortune teller. Like, he got so drunk he thought he was a fortune teller, but I feel like this is, about something. It's not just like this random guy who's getting too drunk. It says that the song itself is a tribute to Chris Burden, an American artist that worked in sculpture performance and installation art. I have never heard of Chris Burden, but it says here that he was famous for having himself crucified to a Volkswagen in 1974 and having an assistant shoot him in the arm at an art gallery in 1971. Listen, sometimes you got to commit to your art, I guess. That's an artist. I've never heard of Chris Burden, but that does sound like some art. All right, let's move on into the title track here, which is the next track. That is going to be Heroes. Let's dive in. Shoot yourself in the arm. Was there like a canvas like behind him? He held out his arm and he told his assistant, "Okay, shoot. Let's see how the blood sprays." What if like the assistant missed, which I guess on one hand would be good, but like he's like, "Oh, now you ruined the canvas because you shot the canvas. Now we got to do it again." I don't know. Like, and what if the blood went the wrong way, so you didn't even get it? I don't. Let's listen to the next track. That scratchy guitar sounds like Station to Station in the beginning. Okay, I don't really know anything about Bowie live and such, but this sounds like the type of track that he would be using to close his concert. It has that amazingly emotional send-off power to it, right? Like, let's focus on his singing for just a moment. When Bowie sings in his lower, kind of more introspective to himself soliloquy style, I like that a lot. I mean, I love when he sings out, but there's something very personal and very, I don't know, there's just something about his voice when he sings that way that I really love. So in the beginning of this track, he starts off in that way. Very to himself, very low. And I just really like that personality when he sings like that. But then as the song grows in its clear emotional prowess, as it gets bigger, not necessarily grand, but it does expose itself a little bit more. I like how as the music becomes more powerful, he comes out of that tone, he comes out of that register, and begins to free himself a little bit, begins to unshackle himself, his vocals, and then by the end of the track, he's clearly just shouting out. Now, while I don't know what the track is about, as I really wasn't following the lyrics at all, it just sounds so passion-filled, taking away his vocals for just a moment, going back to the guitar work, which is just incredibly emotional. There's an effect in there, and I caught this, okay? Someone's playing an effect in there. I don't know if it's Alomar or Fripp. I don't know. I'm leaning Alomar because Alomar played on Station to Station, if I do remember correctly. That sounds like the very beginning of Station to Station. That, you know what? That's the best sound effect that I've actually reenacted, I think, in my life. Usually my sound effects are way off, but actually, that sounds like the... Okay, that was actually pretty good. All right, anyways, but I like how that's kind of used throughout once again, in the back streets and the back roads of this track. Because if you have Fripp playing in here, he's going to add in those back roads. He's going to take you down those back avenues of adding these unique, slightly experimental licks and leads with his guitar and whatever else he's doing. And you really hear that in here. But you have that music and that tone that allows the music to really expand upon itself. And like I said, become that much more emotional, which is further empowered, obviously, by Bowie himself, by everyone else's playing. I love that bass rhythm that comes in and really warms the waters. Bass is going to be played here by George Murray. Fantastic. Good stuff. This sounds like a stadium concert closer to the album, or to a live show, I should say. Let's look at these lyrics here. They said something about dolphins. I will be king and you will be queen. Though nothing will drive them away, we can beat them just for one day. We can be heroes just for one day. And you can be mean, and I drink all the time because we're lovers, and that is a fact. Yes, we're lovers, and that is that. Though nothing will keep us together, we can steal time just for one day. We can be heroes forever and ever, what'd you say? So this could be romantic, could be platonic, it could be anything, but the point is this relationship, it may not last for long, but for the time we have for just one day, let's be heroes. Heroes to who? Heroes to probably more each other than anything else. That's what I'm kind of feeling out of it. I wish you could swim like dolphins can swim. Though nothing will keep us together, blah, blah, blah. I can remember standing by the wall and the guns shot above our heads, and we kissed as though nothing could fall. Now, this is just me thinking. I'm thinking Berlin Wall. And when I see wall and shots above our heads and kissed and nothing could fall, so maybe these are two lovers or two people just in a relationship of some sort on opposite sides, but for just a moment, for just the time they have, they can be together and they want to enjoy it for at least just that one day. Let's look into the lyrics here. Let's look into the song. There's a lot of information on this particular track. Let's see. So it says that Bowie and Eno added synth dubs while Fripp contributed guitar. To record the vocal, Visconti devised a multi-latch system wherein 3 microphones were placed at different distances from Bowie and would open when he sang loud enough. That's really cool. That's a cool, it's like, man, that's why I always say like producers and like studio engineers, they are the magicians behind the musicians. That sounds like a great documentary. The Magicians Behind the Musicians. A look at producers and studio engineers. I don't know. Anyways, I think that's so cool how they captured that. It says that it concerns 2 lovers, one from East Berlin and the other from the West. Listen, I don't always get it right, but occasionally, under constant fear of death, they dream they are free. Bowie placed the title in quotation marks as an expression of irony on the otherwise romantic or triumphant words and music. I didn't even think about the quotation marks because I didn't even think about it. Okay, that actually is kind of cool there too. Adding some nice punctuation in there. It says that, let's see, something about the single here. It says released in edited form as the album's lead single. Initial reviews were mostly positive, but I guess the edited version, the single version, a lot of people saw that it took away a lot of the power, which I can definitely see that because the build-up, which really captures that emotion, is kind of necessary, I would say. Kind of necessary. Anyways, let's go ahead and move ourselves on into the next track, which I need to pull up here. Hold on. 1 second. It is Sons of the Silent Age. Let's go ahead and get into it.
It couldn't be done.
This is so cool.
Sons of
I know that we're not like that deep into the album. We're only like a few songs deep. But this to me right now is my favorite track on the album so easily. This is so entrancingly bizarre. The intro. It sounds like a spaghetti western intro, but Bowied up. With the saxophone blasting out from Bowie and this big dramatic flair to open us up, it's really setting up a plot and a setting. And then the way that it very strangely moves into its kind of snaky rhythm, Bowie's Bowie's singing like very neutralized. And then like the way the music kind of comes up and down, it's very snaky in its structure and sound. Like this is a really cool song. This is kind of getting back to a little bit more like an experimental sound to me. Hold on, let me pull back something really quick. Hold on. It has that dramatic. Hold on. Listen to that horn. Here. The way that it moves down from that, using the saxophone to kind of bring it back down. This is really me. I know I'm really comparing, but just bear with me. Saxophone reminds me of Van de Graaff Generator and the darkness that they use the saxophone for. And even though it's not used to the same effect here exactly, I do think that tonally, with of course the music surrounding it as well, it kind of draws a similar kind of feel Like I said, it's not completely a one-to-one comparison, but I'm getting a little bit of something something in there. And then the way that it just kind of drops you back down into this kind of musical depression for a moment as it continues on in the next verse. This is a really cool track to listen to. This is remarkably strange. This is the best way I can describe it, but it's alluring just the same. And that is my favorite track so far on the album. The album's been a great listen so far, but I think that this one is kind of interesting, right? Like, doesn't this one just like have a very unique sound to it? Looking at the lyrics here, sons of the silent age stand on platforms, blank looks and notebooks. Sit in the back rows of city limits, lay in bed, coming and going on easy terms. Which I guess even the way he's singing does kind of match what he's describing. Stand on platforms, blank looks and notebooks, sit in the back rows of city limits. Like, it's just the imagery I get. You know, like the day-to-day activities that you kind of autopilot, you know, getting up, going to work, getting on the train, getting on the car, or in the car, sitting at your desk, whatever, like those kind of things. Like the way that he's singing so mundane captures the mundanity of whatever's happening here. Sons of the silent age pace their rooms like a cell's dimension. Rise for a year or two, then make war. Search through their 1-inch thoughts, then decide it couldn't be done. Like not thinking ahead. Maybe war for a little bit of excitement, like, oh yeah, I guess we should go to war or do something, and then like there's no thought, there's no forethought into it, there's no plan. Baby, I'll never let you go, all I see is all I know, let's take another way down, sons of sound, sons of sound. Baby, baby, I'll never let you down, I can't stand another sound, let's find another way in. So the song is called Sons of the Silent Age, but he's repeating there, sons of sound. Like the age is silent, but the people are not. There may be something there. Maybe. Sons of the Silent Age, listen to tracks by Sam Therapy and King Dice. I don't think I've ever heard of them. Sons of the Silent Age, they pick up in bars and cry only once. Make love only once, but dream and dream. They don't walk, they just glide in and out of life. They never die, they just go to sleep one day. Which I thought was a really fantastic line. So maybe it's just this... These sons of the Silent Age are kind of like very neutral, very placid. They don't really do much. They don't really think much. I don't know who he's describing or what he's describing. Maybe we can find an idea here, but that's what I'm kind of getting from it. It says, Bowie himself indicated that Sons of the Silent Age could at one stage have been the title for the album rather than Heroes. Let's see. The lyrics have been interpreted as a third-person revisitation of the themes of psychotic withdrawal, explored on Bowie's previous albums, as well as referencing the characters from his 1970 song The Supermen, which I do not believe I've heard. Oh yeah, on the album The Man Who Sold the World. Haven't heard it, so of course. So yeah, that's at least what they're saying here, and that's what I'm going to stick with. I don't exactly know who he's talking about, but I think it's a really cool track though. Let's go ahead and move on into the next one here, which is going to actually end this particular side of the album. We're gonna have ourselves a little bit of a blackout. Let's go ahead and get into it. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the light off for this one. Why not? How can a song be called Blackout with such an electrifying guitar? Oh yeah. Dude, okay. Alright. Bass walking. So quickly, but second favorite track on the album. That's a great lineup and a great sequence. Are you kidding me? Okay, so like I said, how can a song called Blackout have such an electrifyingly shocking guitar line in there? I mean, obviously, right? Like Fripp, he's gonna do that. But like, it just sounds like, I don't know, tossing some water on a power line, which is probably not a great idea. But just you can hear the zzz, like just the sizzle, the buzzing sound in there. That is so fantastic. The breakdown that Bowie has in the music, when the music kind of just collapses for a moment, accentuated by some percussion and drums, and he just kind of like rants off really quickly. So I'm getting more of a mental blackout than a literal blackout, because even after that moment, the next verse he comes in and he's kind of singing like dual, not harmonizing. It's like he did one take, a little bit higher, and then another take a little bit lower, and it's basically like he's having a manic kind of episode, like he's mentally blacking out, like schizophrenic. That is so awesome. And not only does, once again, they capture that greatly with the vocals, like with his singing in that specific instance, but that guitar line, it sounds like it's fretting, like it's like it's manic, like it, you know what I mean? Like that is so great. And to take all this, compress it, compact it, and put it in this so groovy rhythmic paradise of a package of a song, that's sensational, guys. That is sensational. This is easily my second favorite track on the album. This is great. Oh, you walk on past, your lips cut a smile on your face, your scalding face. See, like, you even get, like, for example, one personality, like, saying this, but then the other personality saying, oh, your scalding face. To the cage, she was a beauty in a cage. It's too high a price to drink rotting wine from your hands, your fearful hands. Get me to the doctors, I've been told. Someone's back in town, the chips are down. I just cut and blackout. I'm under Japanese influence and my honor's at stake. The weather's grim, ice on the cages. Me, I'm Robin Hood and I puff on my cigarette. Panthers are steaming, stalking and screaming. When he says someone's back in town, I'm thinking that's like the other personality. Like, that's at least what I'm thinking. If you don't stay tonight, I will take that plane tonight. I have nothing to lose, nothing to gain. I'll kiss you in the rain, kiss you in the rain. Get me to the doctor. Get me off the streets. Get some protection. Get me on my feet. Get some direction. Hot air gets me into a blackout. Get me off the streets. That is such a great track, guys. It says this track is described as typical of the darkly exhilarating sonic schizophrenia of the Heroes album. On a backing verging on industrial. Regarding its lyrics, Bowie said that the song did indeed refer to power cuts. So it actually is about a blackout? I can't, in all honesty, this is him saying this, say that it was the NY one, New York, though it is entirely likely that that image locked itself in my head. So, okay, I guess I can look at it this way. Okay, so Bowie says it's literally about a blackout. So maybe I'm going too far. I thought it was like a mental breakdown, especially the way that he like breaks down musically and just starts rambling there at that moment. Okay, I could be. I'm okay being wrong. That's a really awesome track, though. It is time to move on, however, into the second side of the album, and you guys know what time it is. It's the time where I give you a little test to see who's still watching, who's still hanging around, who's here at this particular point, who didn't cut bait and run. What should my test be? What am I wearing on the shirt? Say hello in another language. That's my test. That's my test. Because hold on, if you come in, not that way. If you come in, you can see my shirt is like all hello in like different languages, right? You can kind of see all that. So besides English, just tell me hello in a different language. You can choose whichever one you want. Anyways. Hey, hello. Hey guys, what's up? All right, get back at it. All right, let's move on into the second side of the album. Before we dive into the second side, is that right? I think it looks right. I can't see the screen. We're going to listen to the next track, V2, Schneider. And then I did see, because I'm using Genius for the lyrics and stuff, and sometimes it gives me extra information. It does say that the next three tracks, Sense of Doubt, Moss Garden, and Neukölln, it says that those three transition into each other, so I'll let those three go together. But for V2 Schneider, let's go ahead and dive in, and we'll listen to that one, talk about it. Here we go. A little instrumental appetizer to get us into the second side. This track really, whoa, almost flipped my desk. I brought my hand up too quick and I brought it up a little bit too much. Oh, I would have flipped everything over. That wouldn't have been good. This track is just an instrumental, like I said, appetizer to get us into the second side of the album. And it really allows Bowie to just kind of get down on his saxophone. This is a track that really allows him to lead off a little bit. The rest of the band provides this really funky groove. I like that little, it only happened briefly. I wish it happened just a little bit more. That little beat switch up in the very beginning with the drums. That was nice. I would have liked just a little bit more, but it's okay. I liked the way it moved. And then the guitar comes in very organically at the end and then kind of has this nice sustained growl to kind of lead off everything. And the only lyrics we have are actually the title of the track. Now, there is a Wikipedia article for this one, so let's look at it. It says that it is a tribute to Florian Schneider, co-founder of the band Kraftwerk. Okay, all right. I didn't catch that. Whom Bowie acknowledged as a significant influence at the time. The title also referenced the V-2 rocket, the first ballistic missile which had been developed for the German army during World War II, and whose design played a key role in the American space program. Musically, the track is unusual for the offbeat saxophone work by Bowie, who kicked off his part on the wrong note, but continued regardless. Listen, sometimes you make happy mistakes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's okay not to like have perfection in music. You know, I think one thing I will say about modern music, and I'm not disparaging modern music because modern music's great, just as great as anything else. But I wish that like it wasn't always so perfect. Leave a little mistakes in there. That gives it all the character, right? So let's go ahead and move on into the next tracks here, which, like I said, we are going to listen to them all together because it seems that they all segue into each other. So we're going to listen to Sense of Doubt because it says they segue into each other, and it goes into Moss Garden and Neukölln. We'll figure it out. Let's listen to the tracks. Let's get into it. Neukölln? It literally comes in waves. That one felt deeper. I feel like I'm listening to Eno's albums right now. And that's the koto. I like how those synths descend alongside of the koto playing. Good ambient music. I should have turned off the lights. I didn't know it was going to be like this. Okay, we got to talk about this trilogy here. We got to talk about these three pieces of music here. That was such an interesting journey. Like, I feel like this is obviously kind of sounding similar or going in a similar direction as side 2 of Low. But I feel like here we've kind of divulged even further into the ambient, went further down a slightly darker path, at least on the two bookends of this trilogy here. Like, we've pushed a little bit. We've gone further down the experimentation route, especially with Neukölln. Well, I'll see if I can figure it out later. Okay. Sense of Doubt, I think, is the coolest track in the sense of how it embodies the actual title of the track and the actual feeling. When you have a sense of doubt, let's just say, you're sure about something, but there's that little percentage of you that's like, well, maybe not. And the music so perfectly captures that with those dark notes that keep on reoccurring that are deep and dark. I mean, like, deep and dark. And that is the sense of doubt, because it just plays few and far between those notes. And then in between, there's lighter, more melodic notes that are floating back up. That is the assurance. That is the thing that you are sure of. The thing that, oh yeah, it is this way. But then, as soon as it hits that high, that bright spot in the clouds, those notes come back again, almost bringing that down, bringing that weight back in, right? That, well, maybe not. And I just think that is so cool in the way that Bowie and Eno definitely, I know Eno's in here because it sounds like an Eno album right now. I love the way that they captured that feeling, because they really did capture that feeling, not even the thought, the actual emotion of that. It says here, because none of these obviously had lyrics here, it says here that Brian Eno suggested that the contrasting themes were the result of him and Bowie each following an oblique strategies card to guide them in the track's overdubbing. Eno's directing him to make everything as similar as possible, and Bowie's to emphasize differences. I have no idea what an oblique strategies card is. I'm looking at it right now. It is a card method based for promoting creativity, jointly created by Brian Eno and Peter Schmidt. Physically, it takes the form of a deck of 7 by 9 centimeter printed cards in a black box. Each card offers a challenging constraint intended to help artists particularly musicians, break creative blocks by encouraging lateral thinking. That's actually kind of cool. So, for example, some of the cards, it says use an old idea. State the problem in words as clearly as possible. Only one element of each kind. Are there sections? Consider transitions. That's kind of cool. Honor thy error as a hidden intention. That's actually really cool. Okay. Speaking of that one, in Neukon, there's a moment where Bowie comes in with his saxophone, and it sounds off. I mean, it clearly is trying to sound at odds in the very beginning when the sax comes in, but there's a moment where it like sounds clearly off, and you're like, whoa. But it's kind of like I actually mentioned before, leaving those errors, those little imperfections in the music makes it that much more authentic and, to be honest, I think relatable. That's a really cool strategy. That's actually really awesome. So yeah, I really like Sense of Doubt and how it captures that particular feeling. And then moving into Moss Gardens, when I think of Moss Gardens, I think of peace, I think of harmony, I think of nature, and you got all of that in there. You have, I'm going to assume that it's Bowie playing the koto in there, and the music there, that's when it really feels like a Brian Eno, Harold Budd kind of composition there. It is so peaceful, it is so relaxing. That's why I said, if I had known it was going to be that way, I would have turned the lights off and we would have just sat here. We would have just drifted into the music, but that was absolutely beautiful playing in there. And I just really like how serene and tranquil that one felt. That was the peaceful moment in the middle of this particular instrumental ambient sandwich that we got. Then for the final part for Neukon, which let's look that up here a little bit. Let's look into this one here. It says is a district of Berlin. So this place is a district of Berlin. Bowie lived there for a time. Or, I'm sorry, Bowie lived in Berlin for a time, but not in this place in Schoenberg. The music has been interpreted as a reflect... Well, I don't want to read that yet. I don't want to dive into it. I haven't even talked about the music and what I feel. But this is actually the most, like, avant-garde piece of these three pieces of music. Which is interesting because I wouldn't expect the music to go from, let's just say, off-putting, yet beautiful, into beautiful, into pure off-putting. Like, you know, that kind of movement. Usually the resolution, the last part would be probably that most harmonious part. But no, we go kind of in an opposite direction and we go into the most chaos at the end of the track, or at the end of this particular trilogy of this piece. And once again, I think it's really cool how we build up, especially putting aside the saxophone, the organ comes in, there's some bass notes in there, just a few, and then that roaring guitar that comes in and just holds everything in its dark grasp. I think that that is a fantastic way of kind of ending this particular trilogy and bringing this trilogy into fold. That's awesome. Now we can look at it. It says the music has been interpreted as reflecting in part the rootlessness of the Turkish immigrants who made up a large proportion of the area's population. It says that this is from, Frosch from Tangerine Dream. Frosch's album Epsilon in Malaysian Pale, mostly played with Mellotron, was, according to Bowie, a big influence and a soundtrack to his life in Berlin. Okay, so Bowie was listening to some of that Tangerine Dream, as we've listened to recently as well. Dylan, Bowie, okay, some other people covered this, as well as Philip Glass actually covered this as well. That was really cool. Let me see if I can, how do I pronounce that? Let's see, hold on. Let me put my volume up, because there is some pronunciation here, and I would like to know how to say this correctly, because I know I've been saying it wrong. All right. I think that it's Neukon, only because Neu, the band, N-E-U, so Neu, and then K-O-L-L-N, Con, Neukon, let's see. I am so off. Try it again. Neukane. Neukane. Let me do it one more time for you in the back. Neukane. Okay. So I was right on the first half, wrong on the second half. Give me the 50%. Give me the F. It's okay. We'll move. We'll go on from there. Let's go ahead and finish out the album with the final track here, The Secret Life of Arabia. Let's go ahead and get into that one, and then we will talk about it after. Let's go. This sounds so refreshing after the previous songs. Synth just gliding underneath. And that is the end of David Bowie Heroes. You know what my middle question should have been? Who's your favorite superhero? I just thought about that right now. Okay. So on this channel, let's just not break bread, but let's break the fourth wall. Definitely not win. Break the fourth wall for just a moment here. One thing I love about doing full album reactions, even though I'm not always able to do them, I try to do them as much as I can, is that let me speak for myself, I get a much better sense of continuity within the album. Of course, we all know that. And so, like, if I was to have listened to this track on its own at some point, I would have said, yeah, it's a great Bowie track. It's awesome. It's a fun party song, blah, 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 right? However, thinking about listening to this track now as the closing track after those after those three instrumental pieces that ended on the very abstract, very avant-garde, how much of a, for lack of a better word, a welcoming party and a welcome home party is this track? After going down some back roads with no names, we went down some nameless streets, but we're back here, and this is definitely the most straightforward song on the album. And I think it's such perfect placement to put it here at the end after that trilogy, because it really does feel like welcome. It's like, ooh, not that we were breathless before out of like, like we couldn't breathe, we were choked out, but this is just such a welcome return at this particular point. The bass is absolutely funking it up. Bowie is funking it up. Everyone is getting down in here. And even Fripp playing, like, this is much more straightforward. There's no real, oddities and ends to be found on this particular track. I guess you could argue that some of the harmonies are, very interesting, but that's just Bowie. Like, that's just the norm, I think that this is such a cool track to come back to at this particular point in the album. Like, I say it sometimes, but the track listing of an album is also part of what makes an album great and what makes an album stand out. And for this particular track being here, I think kind of proves that point. The Secret Life of Arabia, Secret Secrets Never Seen, Secret Secrets Evergreen. I was running at the speed of life, and don't you think that reference didn't pass me by? Through morning's thoughts and fantasies, then I saw your eyes at the crossfades. Secret Secrets Never Again, The Secret Life of Arabia. You must see the movie The Sand in My Eyes. I walk through a desert song when the heroine dies. Is this about Lawrence of Arabia? I'll tell you what, I saw Lawrence of Arabia a long time ago. Probably, over 15 years ago, when I was really getting into like historical fiction and stuff, not just in movies but also in books and everything. And listen, do not laugh at me, okay? I really wanted to watch Lawrence of Arabia. I didn't have a lot of patience at the time, I'm just being straight up. And I literally got halfway through the movie, and I can't remember what happened, but either something distracted me or I was like, I'm kind of bored right now. And I moved on, and I never finished watching it. I know, and I'm sure that I would love it right now, and I know the comments are going to say, JP, you need to go, like, watch the movie. Like, come on, be an adult. And I know that I would love it now, but I'm just talking about old me. I got halfway through, and I didn't finish it, even though I was actually really enjoying it up until then. But I was watching, like, the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven, what's that other movie? Rome, the TV series from HBO. Like, I loved all that stuff. That was 13th Warrior. Anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. Anyway, so I think that is possibly actually referencing Lawrence of Arabia just because of that when he says the movie. But I don't know. There actually isn't a Wikipedia article for this. Let me see if there's some other information down here. It says, in 1977, Bowie confronted his fear of flying and he traveled to England, the US, Canada, blah, 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 blah. Actually, none of this information is specific to this song. On the final song, of course, The Secret Life of Arabia, he set his sights on the Middle East. Okay, so maybe it's not necessarily directly about Lawrence of Arabia. Maybe it really is just an ode, for lack of a better word, to the Middle East and some of the things he saw there or he experienced. I don't know. I actually don't know. What I do know, however, is that this was a fantastic album, and what I definitely for sure know, I can tell you my songs right now. Sons of the Silent Age, number 1. Blackout, number 2. Number 3, I don't really have a clear number 3, if I'm being honest. I don't really have a clear number 3. But I will tell you that those two are my standouts. I would say the next 2 that I really enjoyed, I'm just going to put them all together. I'm putting the trilogy right beneath that. But I'd probably put that right on the same line of Secret Life of Arabia, especially just how they kind of coincided. Yeah, let's do that. I'm doing Sons of the Silent Age, Blackout, and then the instrumental trilogy there on the back end of the album. But it's not my opinion that matters. Not at all, to be honest. It's not me, it's you. I want to know your thoughts on the album. How do you feel about Heroes? Does it make you feel like a hero, or does it make you feel like a zero? Let me know that in the comments down below. Let me know what your favorite track is. Let me know what your favorite tracks are. How do you feel about Sons of the Silent Age and Blackout? I think those are just absolutely stunning tracks on this album that are equally weird but immensely pleasurable. Let me know though. And if you didn't from the beginning of this video, which I know you did because you and me had an agreement, you and me had a little something. You looked in my eyes, I looked in your eyes, and we said, press that like button. Go ahead and do it now. If you didn't, press the subscribe button. Of course, like I mentioned before, if you want, you can also subscribe and support myself, what I do on the channel, for as little as $2 a month on Patreon. You don't have to, obviously. No one's forcing you, but you have the option. Besides that, guys, that's David Bowie's Heroes. I hope that you enjoyed the full album reaction here today. Hope that you enjoyed your time here and that it was time well spent. Come on back tomorrow. No idea what I'm doing. Literally. Maybe I think I gotta go pull some weeds, actually. There's been a weed outside of my window, and I see like just the tip of it blowing in the wind, and I'm like, every time it moves, I look over because I think something's there. It's not. Anyways, have a great day, guys. I will talk to you all tomorrow, hopefully. Bye.